The parallel you. What are they doing right now? We all know that we live in a universe beyond our world that is very peculiar, where we can literally bend space and time, where there's black holes, wormholes, alien life perhaps. A place where linear time means nothing, where the past, the present, and the future is all happening at once. A place where you can literally bring things into your reality. Now, the parallel you. This is the version of you that you can imagine in your brain, but have not embodied yet. It's the version of yourself that you fantasize about. Who is this person? What do they act like? What are they doing in life? And why have you not embodied them in this reality? See, we have this ability to almost experience ourselves in a whole different time frame, but not quite experience it. It's like, what's the difference? So most people, they're thinking and they've already imagined this parallel version of living this parallel life in this alternate universe for themselves, a better life, and how they act, and they can see it and they can fantasize and imagine it, but they can't quite bring it into their current reality. And we know the universe, being as peculiar as it is, where timelines overlap, and you could say realities and universes overlap. So technically we are switching back and forth to a certain degree in certain realities. But most people are unable to embody this version that they think about all the time. I would say a number of things, hinder them. The first one is, who they fantasize about becoming, is not them. It's just an echo or version of somebody else who they're trying to imitate or be in life. Or they feel like this version of themselves is completely unattainable. These goals, how they're supposed to look, and even though they can imagine it in their brain, in their head, they still think it's unattainable. And the reason for this a lot of times is that many people are allergic to depth. And usually we find the answers, or we find what is blocking us from embodying the parallel you, diving deeper into the ocean. Now, I'm not saying that you should live your life on the bottom of your ocean floor, because that could be very scary. And by the way, this is an analogy for diving deeper into your feelings and your subconscious and all the patterns you've held inside, and traumas and all kinds of stuff. I'm just going to lump it into one big thing and call it the bottom of the ocean floor for you. It's not about living the bottom of the ocean floor. It's about the ability to bob up and down and dive deeper when you really need answers as to why something is holding you up in life, and being able to easily come back up for air in a healthy way. So like I said, a lot of people are allergic to their own depth. They don't want to go deep in life, and then they never find the answers, and they're stuck just fantasizing about this version of themselves that can never truly come to fruition. And a lot of things in life are habitual. So if we don't get to those patterns and what's caused all those habitual reactions, it's difficult to change. I'll just bring up a quick little story. So the other day I was online or reading some news site, a New Jersey news site, and I noticed that they have a new segment that they put out, the newspaper, and it was called like positive news, or on a positive spin. Basically, it's the news outlet the media outlet trying to have a segment on only positive news, positive articles, positive segments, because people aren't used to that, right? And I noticed that there were like no comments, or there was one comment from a guy who just wrote like, okay, like whatever. And then I noticed all the other articles preceding and after, this was on Facebook, the news feed, were, the usual like murders, burglaries, house fires, the usual negative stuff that we're so accustomed to in society and in the world. And there were lots of comments on those because people like shock value, right? They didn't want to know about, somebody who helped somebody else or whatnot. Once in a while, maybe somebody comments on it. But you notice the ratio of like comments and people who are really drawn to the negative, toxic things versus the more positive things. And it got me thinking about how it's just like habitual for us. It's a habitual reaction. And you would think that we would get desensitized or we would get bored with the negative stuff. But we don't really get bored with the negative stuff. It's just become like a natural reaction of anger, and even a lot of times humor comes out as anger, and it's just like a natural reaction, very habitual. So it's very difficult for, say, a news outlet to try and, okay, let's try this. We'll try putting, positive segment, but people didn't take it. They didn't want it because they're so used to. It's like, this is not a normal reaction. So when it comes to change and it becomes, trying to embody a different version of yourself, you could say, or the parallel you, a better version, the version that you imagine yourself to be, it's very, very difficult because you have these ingrained reactions that have just, since you were born and growing up, and things that you picked up along the way. But that doesn't mean that it's impossible to change or embody. Here's the basic, solution, or one of the solutions. Flip the switch anyway. Even when it feels uncomfortable, it's gonna feel uncomfortable. It's like walking around happy when people expect you to be sad or expect you to be angry. Or if you've always been the type you walk around brooding and you're angry all the time and you're so used to responding to things in a negative way, it's almost like in your head, if I suddenly respond in a different way, people are gonna look at me funny. I'm gonna be judged, or it doesn't feel right to me because my body is so programmed to respond in a certain way. Just like when I'm trying to change something, my body is so programmed to just do this thing or this habit or this behavior that I feel like I want to just revert back because it's more comfortable. But you have to flip the switch, feel that discomfort, but you have to just feel the discomfort and flip it anyway. And the second part of that is rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You just have to push through that discomfort. And eventually the discomfort will turn into normalcy for yourself. So when you are imagining who you want to be in this reality, not in the reality that lives in your head, if you want to connect those two, then you are going to feel some sort of discomfort on your way, most likely. Okay? You can embody that version, but you're gonna hit roadblocks where all the things in your older reality that you have been attached to come back to you. And it can be hard for people, but that's why it's important to dig deeper inside ourselves and really iron out, the wrinkles, essentially. I use a lot of analogies, I'm sorry, can't help it. And realize that, awareness of our patterns, number one, but just flipping the switch, making the choice to flip the switch, feeling discomfort and just doing it anyway. A lot of times it's hard because we see that others can't do it. But you know what? Change starts with you, and it starts within you. So if you're flipping the dial on your radio station, again, another analogy, if you're flipping that light switch, if you're flipping that light bulb, if you're flipping that table, you're flipping whatever in your life, and you truly, truly want to change your life for the better and embody a newer version, embody the parallel you that lives in a reality that does not respond only with hate or attachment to toxic relationships or toxic behaviors, unhealthy habits that are weighing you down, that are bringing you down, that are making you unhappy and depressed and anxious all the time. Think about it. What is important to you? Is it more important for you to live for other people, to live for attachments and just the comfort of those attachments, even though they're bringing you deeper and deeper into a hole? Or is it better to feel some discomfort while you're trying to embody a new version and really, really commit to it? Really commit to it. That's the difference. A lot of us are non-committal, where, we try to make changes, or we're so motivated at first to be, different or respond differently, have, different, healthier habits and behaviors. But as soon as it feels hard, or as soon as something from our past or our old environment comes back and triggers us, we're faced with a choice at that point. Do we still plow forward even though we're scared that, if I do a different reaction, if I do things differently, it's gonna feel really off, and go back? Or are we gonna push through that? Are we gonna keep pushing through because we have this will to create a better life for ourselves? Because the person we imagine ourselves to be, we know we deserve that person. We deserve that not only in our head, but we deserve to embody it in our current reality. So it's not going to be easy. You're going to be faced with a lot of roadblocks, and maybe even relapses where you have to start over. But you have to commit to it. You have to commit to yourself. How much are you willing to commit to the parallel you in this reality? How much are you willing to commit? Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Let me know in the comments below. Life can be tricky sometimes, and sometimes we can live this life in our head and never truly get to live it in real life. So, I want you to change that. I want you to be that version of yourself that you deserve, that you imagine yourself to be, and stop thinking that it's impossible. You're only thinking it's impossible because that's the old attachments that you have to all the older things that, even though they may be toxic, they've kept you safe and comfortable. But it's going outside the safety zone a little bit sometimes and really committing to change. So have a great day. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. I put out new videos every single week on all kinds of cool topics for you. Until next time, see you on the next one. Peace.